it going, Sheldon? How are you?
I'm doing awesome, man. So glad you could join us. So tell me about the technical challenges when you're low tuning.
Yeah, so the first thing that I'll say is that, when you're playing and you're like, you have bands like Periphery and Meshuggah, when you listen to that stuff, it just sounds so aggressive. And so your first instinct is to like play as hard and as loud as possible. And, when it comes to my technique, what I like to do on the low string is I actually kind of like to lay back a little bit. And I find that gives me a little bit more control over, that giant behemoth of a low string that I use now. And I find it like it keeps things consistent. And I think those are like the two big words, when it comes to this stuff is like control and consistency.
Interesting. And so any other gear issues? Like, so the bass is one thing, but the whole signal chain,
you just have to. I'm fortunate enough to where I'm surrounded by people who are like amazing with production, and I have so much to learn from them. Like Aaron is amazing at sculpting tones. Our drummer Nathan is an amazing engineer and producer, and our sound guy actually, he'll come over to my board and start tweaking things and show me what he's doing. But to be honest, my pedal board is actually pretty like this. I can actually pull it up. This is my whole rig.
No.
Yeah, man. I just run this and I have a wireless that goes here, but that's my entire rig. And I run that through the Darkglass M900 for my clean tone. But sonically, you just have to find where you sit well in the mix. And I find the only challenge, my only challenge is that I like to find something where, you don't lose the characteristics of the instrument, where you can still hear that it's a Dingwall, not just some low sub that's coming through the house speakers, But so with the gear, I think that's it. It's just finding where you can sit well in the mix and still hear the instrument rather than just being like a frequency.
Right. That's so important. And I have to stress that low tuning isn't just buying a heavier set of strings and throwing them on a bass.
Right.
It's super challenging, and it's a bit of a process.
Absolutely.
Do you have any?
Yeah, I can.
Sorry. Do you have any stories about low tuning that you can share?
Absolutely. So Nathan Bulla, the drummer from Intervals, he has this other band called Auras, and I just finished tracking on their new record. And they normally play in drop A flat, which is what, or G sharp, which is what Intervals does. But I think 3 or 4 of the tracks were done in drop G. So drop G. It's pretty insane. So when they told me about this, I thought I was thinking about my options and what I could do about this, because drop G sharp isn't that bad. It's what we do for Interval. It's fine. But when I tuned it down that extra half step, it kind of broke things. Like strings started to get fret buzz and a lot of not good stuff. So what I ended up doing was, let's grab my bass. On the green bass, I actually filed down the nut. And I took a normal pack of 5 strings. So I took a 175 gauge, a 130, a 180, and a 55. And that kind of, I guess it kind of leveled things out. So there was no more fret buzz or anything like that. It was just, because when you picked up the instrument, you didn't feel like you were playing something that, it wasn't flubby or anything. It was just, kind of, like I said, it kind of equaled things out. There was no flub. It was extremely clear. And the only thing is, I wouldn't recommend that kind of a setup if you're playing live a lot, because, it's just not the funnest thing to play. But when it comes to, recording stuff like that, we had to make the sacrifice for clarity. But it was funny because when the rest of the band came into the studio, the first thing he said was, "No, don't check out these, like," he didn't even say like, "check out this bass part." He was like, "Just check out how clean this DI sounds, man." So so the setup is definitely important. Again, making sure it's not too flubby, and the bass handles the low tunings really well, but sometimes you have to adjust the neck and all that stuff. Now that was my low tune story.
Now, this is confusing for a lot of people, because when you look at the fundamental frequencies of these low tunings, they are at the very bottom of the hearing range. But of course, the note isn't just pure fundamental. It's fundamental plus the harmonics above it. So what's it like in a live situation to be able to hear yourself as you're playing these super complex parts?
I'm sorry, can you, what was the question? So how can I hear myself?
Yeah, when you're playing live and you're playing super complex parts, how easy is it to hear what you're playing? That all just depends on, like, my setup. I'm fortunate enough to where I think I EQ'd it enough to where I can hear. It's not that crazy, I don't think. I'm trying to think of a good way to put how I put it up in my ears. I mean, live, what I'll put in my ears is like basically the drums, a lot of myself, and a little bit of guitars. So it kind of forces myself. I'm kind of like forced to like pay attention to everything I'm doing. Especially with the low tune stuff, I'd say I can hear myself even more because it's that low string is just super powerful in the mix in my ears anyway. So it's not too hard to like stay focused on it. I don't think I get lost in the mix that much. Cool. Intervals is a really interesting band, and I hope everybody checks them out if they haven't already. And can you describe the creative process that goes on with you guys? Yeah, well,
Intervals is mainly Aaron's project. So it's basically what went on is or what goes on is that we'll show up and he'll write everything, and we'll show up, and it's our job to basically make the music come to life in a live setting. And I think so. In 2017, which is when I joined a little before, a little after the new record was finished. So I haven't played on an Intervals record yet, but I know Aaron is going to be going back to the writing process, I think, after the summer. So, maybe I'll be on the next one.
Cool.
But it's amazing working with those guys. It's just they're all just professionals. They're so good at what they do, and they're just awesome guys.
Very cool. Well, we're really proud of you and Aaron and Sam Jacobs and just super
pumped. Man. Thank you, man. Sorry.
And now you have another project too, do you not?
Yeah. So I started this project with two of my friends from an older band called Painted in Exile, and the project's called Gia. It's myself, Ivan Chopik, who is also the COO of Abasi Guitars, and he plays guitar, and my friend Alan Henkers plays keys, and we got Matt Garska on our first two singles from Animals as Leaders, and those are going to be out hopefully over the summer. So I'm really stoked to have I'm really stoked for people to hear this stuff. It's going to be it's pretty sick. I'm really excited for it.
That sounds killer. Holy cow. Good for you.
Man. I'm stoked. Thank you, man. It's going to be great.
So you're a young guy, but you're all over the place. You're playing all over the world. You're doing really great, interesting music. I think almost every young bass player would want to be in your shoes. So do you have any advice for the Dingwall family that you can share?
Yeah. When it comes to, being able to, I guess, do the whole touring thing, just, being a good player is a lot of it. But I think a big thing is just being a good hang, be somebody that they want to have a beer with, like that's the main thing. Like I can show up and play the songs perfectly and, just not want to talk to anybody or just not be a good hang, and, I won't get a call back. But, you just have to think, like, when these guys are hiring people or when you're auditioning for bands, you have to think about, okay, like, this isn't about the hour that I'm going to spend on stage with you. This is going to be about the 23 hours that I'm going to be living in a metal box with you, or that, that I have to spend the next 6 weeks of my life with you. Like, and I'm fortunate enough to where the Intervals guys, we're pretty, it's to the point where we're all, pretty much best buds, and yeah, it's great. So that's something I would say is, just make sure you're a good hang.
That's great advice. I love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, this has been Jacob Umansky from Intervals, and you're talking to Sheldon Dingwall here, and this is Low Tuning Month. This is our self-appointed celebratory month of tuning low, and we're super happy to have Jacob with us.
Thanks so much.